Alright guys, Chris Peterson here, bringing you another audio commentary, chess lecture, whatever you want to call it. And this time, it's round 6 in the 2007 Colorado Open under 1800 division, and I am playing Ted Doykos, who, another young guy like me and Ben Riley. I think he's just a little bit younger than me, but he was 1658 at the time. I think he's almost 1900 now. I was checking USCF to make sure my score. And I did win my game before this against Norbert Martinez, so my score is 4 out of 5. And I am in a must-win situation in this game against Ted Doykos, because even if I draw, the chances of me winning first are pretty slim. So, because I have Leonardo Satarodano, who is right on my coattails, as well as one other player I don't remember. But yeah, so I'm in a must-win situation. So I decided to go for d4 once again. d5, bishop f4, so we can see a very similar opening to my game against Ben Riley. e3, c5. So a little bit different now. Yeah, c5 attacking my center. Knight c6, c3, and queen b6. Now, when queen b6 comes in, I have to worry about b2, because if I lose b2, I'll be in a lot of trouble. Because he's going to be hitting my rook, and he's also going to be hitting c3 if I move my knight. So I have to defend b2, and the best way, in my opinion, is just to play queen b3. And it offers a trade of queens, but if he takes with his queen, it's going to open up my rook. So it's basically a free developing move if he takes my queen. And likewise, if I take his queen, it's going to open up his rook. So it's kind of a standoff. So whoever takes usually gives, whoever takes will give a half-open file to the other player. So bishop g5, just attacking my knight. So I just played knight e5. I don't want my g-pawn, my f-pawns to be doubled. After knight takes, bishop takes, just trying to maintain my pawn structure. Now he decided to take my queen, so now we're going to be in like a quasi-endgame kind of situation. The queens are traded, but there's still a lot of pieces on the board. I mean, 3 out of 4 of minor pieces are still on, both rooks are still on, so it's kind of an endgame, but it's not really yet. So pawn takes b3, only move. Now, I have a choice. I can either take back with the c-pawn, the e-pawn, or the bishop. Now, what should I take back with? Well, that's a good question. If I take back with the c-pawn, I'll have isolated double b-pawns, and that's no good at all. If I take back with the e-pawn, well, I could. Let's see, if I play e takes d, he could play knight d7, attacking my bishop, and I'll lose a tempo, because I'll have to move my bishop back to g3 or something. So I think the best choice is just to take back with the bishop, because I'm the one that gains the tempo, because now I'm attacking a7. See? Kind of the advantage of being the one that gets captured on b3 is I get the half-open a file. So he has to play a6 there to keep his pawn on the board. Then I just play h3 to attack his bishop, and my idea was if he goes back to h5, I'll expand with g4. And I'm just trying to stake a claim on the king side for later on. So he plays bishop f5, and I just develop with knight d2. Now he goes knight to d7, and he's rearranging his knight so that he can play moves like e5. And then get his bishop out. Now, I can't let him play e5 because my bishop will hang, so I played g4 first, attacking his bishop and gaining space on the king side like I mentioned before. And he goes bishop c2, not threatening anything. And now I play bishop b5, and simple idea, I just want to trade that knight off. So that way he can't play e5 and trap my bishop, so I probably should have just played f4 to prevent that, but it's getting questionable after f6 because my bishop has nowhere to go. I don't really have a good way to defend e5, so I'm going to have to play c4, and then it's just bad news. So I decided on bishop b5 to trade the knight off, which gives him the bishop pair, and it makes it a lot harder for me to play. But it was a decision, and I'm not too sure about the decision, but I have to live with it since I made it. So rook d8, bishop takes knight, and rook takes knight, and now he's not doing f5 now because it's not supported. So, but I just play f4 anyway, so I can continue gaining space on the king side. That's where most of the pawns are, so if I can restrict his pawns, it's going to restrict his pieces at the same time. So that's kind of the idea behind that. And now h5, he's trying to attack my expanding king side. Rook c1 just to attack his bishop. I think, well, I wanted to move my knight, so that's why I played rook c1. I'm trying to free up my knight so it doesn't have to defend b3 anymore, so that I can move it to f3 or wherever. So he goes bishop d3, king f2, e6, pretty standard move so far, just finishing our development. And now king f3, and I've put my king in kind of a precarious spot and tying my knight down once again, so I kind of mixed up my plans a little bit. Probably I should have just played knight f3 and then gotten my rook out of there somehow. But yeah, so my king on f3 is going to tie down my knight on d2. So he plays f6 and I play e4. So I had to change my plan up a little bit again. So I opted to play e4 so that way my bishop has space to run to if it needs to, and trying to give my knight somewhere to go. So if he captures an e4, my knight can go to e4. So now he plays a pretty good move. It's f5, and it's just attacking the spot that I'm already attacking. And and it makes it a lot harder for me because now I have to trade instead of him trading. So I opted for e takes f, so this way I can open up the e file, so maybe I can have a check at some point. E takes, g takes, and now bishop takes. So effectively, we just did a lot of trades there. So if we look at the pawn structure a little bit, it's 2-on-3 on the queen side. He has a center pawn and I don't. I have a pawn on f4, h3. He has one on h5 and g7. So overall, I think the pawn structure is about even here. I mean, I have double pawns. He has isolated pawn. I have isolated pawn. Maybe his is just a tiny bit better. I do have a nice spot for my knight if I can get there, and he does have some holes in his position. Not c6. Ignore that circle. So I play rook h1 check, just trying to get my rook into a more active position. King f7, and now king g2. So that way I'm opening up the f3 square and defending my h3 pawn. So he plays bishop d6, and I play bishop e5. So if he trades, I take back with the rook, and that way my rook becomes more active. And also gets rid of it gives rid of a pair of the bishops, so that way our bishop and knight can be on more equal footing. So bishop c5, he doesn't want to give up his bishop pair, and I don't blame him for that. I just play b4 to expand a little bit on the queen side, give my knight extra places to go, and also just gain a free tempo. So let's see, bishop a7, and now I think this move knight f3 was a mistake by me because of his next move, bishop e4, and now I'm in this pin, and it's going to be very difficult for me to get out of this pin. If I play king g3, he can play h4 check, and then I have to go king g4, and well, I guess I could probably just take that, but I don't know, I don't think knight f3 was the best choice for me. And I didn't want to try to figure out a way to get out of that pin, so I just took his bishop. And it's kind of an exchange sacrifice. I get a pawn out of it, and my knight becomes very active. So whether it's an equal trade or not, that's debatable, but it is kind of interesting. So pawn takes, knight g5 check, king g6, knight takes e4. So, yeah. Now, he played rook h to d8, and basically that's to stop my knight from coming here and shutting down his play on the d-file. And that's really where his play is going to be, because if I was in control of the d-file, I would say that sacrifice was very sound and very, very strong, but since he has the d-file firmly in his control, my sacrifice is not looking sound at all. So I play c4 to try to play c5 and then jam up the d-file on d6, but he has other plans. And now I play knight c5 to try to gain a tempo here, but it doesn't really help me, because he has this nice tactic, bishop takes b2. Obviously, if I play bishop takes b2, he can play rook d2 check and take the bishop right back. So I didn't really see a good way to take and then like retreat and continue on with the game, so I just decided to leave my rook on the board and played bishop takes b2, rook d2, king f3, and now I took his b7 pawn. So, I mean, what's the situation here? I'm up a pawn, but down an exchange, so he's got a material advantage, but I do have this passed c pawn, so that could definitely be an issue later on. His rooks are very active. One's controlling the d-file, one's on the second rank, and another one can certainly get down on the second rank pretty quick. So, I don't know, very, very tough to say who is winning, because materially he is winning, but there is a lot of potential for me to turn this into a win for myself as well. So, it's interesting. So rook c8, hindering my passed pawn a little bit. Now, king e4. Not sure why I just gave up this b4 pawn. I think we're approaching the time control, so I believe we are both in a bit of time pressure here. Although I moved fairly quickly, so I doubt I'm in time pressure. It's probably just I couldn't see a very easy way to defend it. So I played king e4 to get my king closer to my passed pawn. Now I played knight d6, hits his knight and defends my pawn at the same time. King d4. And now f5 check. Now, we are definitely approaching the time control, because I remember this position very well. And the reason is because I've messed up this position pretty badly, so I'm looking for last-ditch efforts to try to win. And this was a neat little thing that I was trying to set up here. So, let's see. If he goes king g5 here, then I can play, let's see, what would I play? Probably rook g1, and then maybe I could win this pawn down here. And that would give me a lot more winning chances, because I would have a passed f pawn. Well, his other options are king h6, which puts his king pretty much out of play. Or he can play king f6. And my idea was, well, you'll see, he played king f6. So king f6, I played rook e1, cutting off his king so it can't cross. Yeah, so it can't run that way. And now, basically my threat right now is to play h4, and if you look, he's stalemated, right? If I get h4 in, his king is stalemated, and if I get rook e6 in, that's mate. So I was setting up a neat little checkmating pattern here to try to trick him into losing. So last thing I was trying to do right around the time control, so he's kind of panicking here. He's like, how do I stop this checkmate? And he came up with an idea, but it doesn't work. He played rook b6, and I can't mate him, because if I play h4, he's just going to take my knight. But I do have this little tactic here. Rook e6 check. King has nowhere to go except for g5, and after knight e4 check, he's losing his rook. So now I'm going to be up a full piece. And at this point, it's just clean up because my c-pawn's going to go marching up the board fairly unchecked. And he resigned in this position, so he was winning firmly, but we got down to a time pressure situation, and I came up with just a last minute trap and was able to catch him in that. So unfortunately for Ted Doykos, but well, it's unfortunate for him, not unfortunately. But fortunate for me because I ended up with 5 points out of 6, and I think I tied with Leonardo for first place, but because of me not losing any games and getting 2 draws instead of a loss, I ended up winning on tiebreak. So I was the 2007 under 1800 Colorado champion. So I guess if that really means anything, I seriously doubt it. So the next game I'm going to show you guys is my game in the parallel tournament, the Membership Meeting Open. So I played Brian in round 2 of that, and funny thing is both Brian and I were playing in the Membership Meeting Open, as well as the Colorado Open, and since they were going on at the exact same time, we were actually playing 2 games at once, so pretty interesting stuff there, but I'll catch you guys in that next game.